Okay guys, today we're going to learn about the Pythagorean Theorem. Something that you should know about them is Pythagorean Theorem only applies to right triangles. So, as long as you know that you have a right angle right here in that spot, then you are going to be able to use the Pythagorean Theorem. So let's refresh our memories on the parts of a right triangle. Okay, so for a right triangle, if this is your right angle, then you have a leg over here on this side, a leg here, so your legs form the right angle. And then the longest side, this is called the hypotenuse. It is always, always, always across from the right angle. Okay? So then what we have is this cool little thing that happens called the Pythagorean Theorem, and there is always a relationship that works that says that you can take a squared plus b squared, and that's going to always equal c squared. So your picture that you have here shows you a square over here coming off of leg marked B, a square over here coming off of leg marked A. And if you actually take those two and add them together, you get this square over here that is going to be formed off of the leg marked C every single time. Okay, so let's test this out. Let's say that we have a triangle, and I tell you that it's a 3, 4, 5. And the question is, decide if this is a right triangle. Then what you will do is you will use the Pythagorean theorem. So it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and believe me, you will use this in almost every math class from here on out. But first you have to decide which parts are which. So always start by figuring out your c. So if I figure out my c, I'm going to go across from that right angle, and so 5 has to be c. So then that means the 3 and the 4 can be either A or B. So I'm just going to pick and say that 3 is my A and 4 is my B. Okay, and then plug them in and see what happens. So if I plug those in, I'm going to have 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Square those, you get 9 plus 16. And 9 plus 16 gives you 25. Well, 5 squared is 25. So since these are the same, then this is a right triangle. This is actually going to be called a Pythagorean triple. Pythagorean triple because the sides are whole numbers, no decimals. So you'll be asked to decide if the numbers form a Pythagorean triple sometimes, and you'll just plug them into the formula, plug them in right there, and see if it works out. And if it does, then it would be a Pythagorean triple. Okay, so now let's find a missing side. Okay, so real simply, let's look at this first one. Say that we have this right triangle here. We have a length of 5 and a length of 8, and we're supposed to figure out what this value x is right there. So first identify, where is x? Which letter does x represent? Would that be your A, your B, or your C? So what do you think? Hopefully you said x should be C. So now that means that your 8 and your 5 are going to have to be your A and your B. Do you think it matters which one is which? It really doesn't. So 5, I'm just going to make that my A, and 8, I'm just going to make that my B. You're squaring them and adding them together, so it doesn't matter where you put them. So 5 squared plus 8 squared will be C squared. Or actually, we can erase that C because our letter is x. So we're going to put x squared. And we get 25 plus 64 equals x squared. Add these two together, you get 89. And then do you remember how to undo a square root? Or I'm sorry, undo a square, you square root. I told you the answer. Silly me. So, what is the square root of 89? Dang it, I forgot my calculator. Do you know the square root of 89? So x should equal, it should be a little bit more than 9, but less than 10. So 9.4. 9.4 should be your answer there. So x equals 9.4. Hopefully that's pretty direct. Now let's try one where we have to find a different side. I'm changing my drawing a little bit because they don't always look the same. So let's say that our x is over here this time. And I have a 10 and a 15. Okay. So now, once again, figure out what your x represents. Is it the A, the B, or the C? Well, it's a leg, so it has to be either A or B. You get to decide. What counts is that your C has to be the 15, because the 15 is across from the right angle. So that means when you set up your A squared plus B squared equals C squared, you're going to do x squared plus 10 squared equals 15 squared. Now, does it matter if I do 10 squared plus x squared equals 15 squared? It shouldn't, because you're squaring them and adding them. And remember, addition can occur in either order. 3 plus 5 is the same as 5 plus 3. So now you're going to isolate your x squared. I'm going to work the one on the left. So this will be x squared plus 100 equals 225. And then think what you should do to both sides there. You should subtract the 100. So x squared equals 125. And how do you undo a square? Square root. So then x should equal approximately 11.2. Now make sure that since you found, when you plug that in, this is 11.2, just double check to be sure that it makes sense. Is that the longest side or one of the shorter sides? And since C is your longest side, then the 11.2 that we found should be smaller than the 15. So this works out. It at least makes sense. Okay? All right, so this is the Pythagorean Theorem. Answer the couple questions that you have now, and thank you.